So a lot of you at home might not know this, but I actually used to be a drummer. No, I wasn't any good. I was pretty terrible actually because I never practiced. Despite that though, believe it or not, I actually used to play the drums in not one, but 2 wind bands. And I really hated it. Looking back at it now, although I never really enjoyed being in this wind band, I am kind of glad that I did it. You know, I met one of my best friends now in this wind band, and it's just kind of a funny thing to be able to say that you did. It's a really good introduction for meeting people. Hi, my name's Jude, I play the drums in a wind band. Anyway, because of all this, I've always wanted to watch the anime Sound Euphonium at some point, and I'm really glad I got round to it, because it is amazing. The animation is stunning, the music's beautiful, and the story is actually really touching. I wasn't expecting to actually connect with the show as much as I did, which sounds a bit stupid, but let me give you a sort of a rough description of what the show's all about. So it's a slice of life anime revolving around this initially dysfunctional wind band, and it displays their struggles as they try to make it through the regional competition in their prefecture to hopefully go on and make it to the nationals, all under the supervision of a strict but kind of genius new wind band conductor. We follow the main character Kumiko, a euphonium player, which by the way is a sick instrument, and she's been playing euphonium for most of her life, but she's kind of fallen out of love with it, and as she moves into a new school she's not really sure whether she wants to continue playing in a band. Obviously she does end up joining the band because otherwise it would be a very short series. And yeah, this series basically uses the dynamic of a wind band to explore themes about growing up, finding your passion, and doing the things that you really enjoy in life, and loads more. Now, I mentioned this band is a bit dysfunctional, and there is a lot of beef, there's a lot of melodrama throughout the series. The characters definitely have some clashes of personality, and I mean the amount that some of these kids care about their instruments is unbelievable. But Kumiko is kind of the perfect, awkward yet relatable character to be following through all of this. Having a slightly awkward but lovable main character in a slice of life anime is by no means revolutionary. And usually I find this kind of thing a little bit unrealistic because regardless of how awkward the main character is, things always do seem to fall into place for them, and everyone kind of loves them anyway, which I don't think is super true to real life. Which is why I think Kumiko is a very well written character, because she does say things wrong and she does make mistakes, and not always doing the right thing does get her caught up in some situations in which she has to kind of pick sides, apologise to people and backtrack on her opinion. And I think that's what gives her character more depth, because we see her really worrying and pondering about these situations, you know, what to do. And through kind of finding her resolve and negotiating through these conflicts, that's how she really grows as a person and discovers what's important to her and who she wants to be, I suppose. So the growth that she has throughout the series is never really forced, and it always feels kind of rewarding. I would say the other main character in this series, the one that really shapes Kumiko the most, is a trumpet player called Reina. And their relationship is really kind of the linchpin of the series. Pretty much everyone in the comment section on Crunchyroll was always like shipping them together, and you know what? I'm not even mad about it. They have some really cute moments together. So yeah, the core cast of this series is really strong, but having said that, some of the side characters are really well developed as well. There's a really big range of personalities, and they've all got very believable flaws and strengths, which results in some really satisfying story arcs. One of my favourite characters is called Natsuki, and at the beginning of the series, she was not bothered about being in this wind band at all. She did not care. And I was like, hell yeah, that's exactly how I felt. And you find out that she hasn't been practicing at all, and because of that she has to settle for this kind of bit part role, which was the same for me really. I mean, I was so bad at the drums. I had pretty good timing, but I just couldn't do any of the technical stuff. For so long though, as far as percussion was concerned, it was just me in this wind band, and I used to find it so embarrassing because when you play the drums with a load of flute and clarinets, you do stand out a little bit. Because I don't know if you know this about the drums, but they're quite loud. I also had a really big afro at the time, which didn't help. However, when another guy joins the band that could actually play the drums, it kind of got even worse for me, because I then got demoted to second percussion, which up until that point hadn't been a thing. So now I was predominantly playing the triangle, some like weird instrument that the conductor called a tinkle tree. Sometimes I would get to play the wood blocks, Other times I would be doing maracas. The job was essentially just run around the stage hitting various wooden and metal objects, and it just looks so lame. So I really enjoyed Natsuki being there because every other character is like super serious and super passionate about their instruments, and she was just a bit more relaxed and she just didn't care. My other favourite character was an oboe player called Mizore, who was super shy. I actually watched the film Liz and the Bluebird by Naoko Yamada before I watched this, not realising of course that it was in any way linked. But Mizore is actually the main character in that film, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Also, just to go off on another tangent, Mizore has like the most adorable moment in the whole series. It's like just before the band's biggest concert, and she just sort of shuffles up to Kumiko and she's holding her oboe in her hand and she says, "This is the best reed I've ever made." And then she immediately goes in for the fist bump. Oh, and it just melted my heart. So yeah, I suppose the only other thing to say about the series is it's really pretty. As I said, the animation is just amazing, and so is the music actually. I suppose you'd expect that from an anime about music. But I'm not just talking about the pieces the band play, because I don't actually really like wind band style music. I guess that's another reason I didn't really enjoy it while I was playing in one. We used to just play the same pieces over and over again. I remember there was one called Celtic Air and Dance, and it still just goes round in my head every now and again, just like a curse. It went exactly like this. That was me on the snare drum. So yeah, the music's really good. The colour choice is really beautiful. What else is there? The accuracy in the band playing scenes. They've literally painstakingly gone through every single instrument and made sure that they're playing exactly the right notes with exactly the right fingering. So the scenes where they're actually playing is incredibly lifelike and realistic. It's genuinely ridiculous. I do think that Kyoto Animation is probably my favourite animation studio ever. It would be very close between them and Bones. If you don't know Kyoto Animation, they're probably most famous for A Silent Voice, or you might know Nichijou, or maybe Clanad. I think that's by them. But I mean, they've done loads more. They're really good. They must have some incredibly talented people working there. And that's why it's so sad what's happened to them, because again, if you didn't know, there was a huge arson attack at one of their offices in 2019, and it actually ended up killing a load of really talented animators and staff, and it burnt up a load of work as well. And then of course the pandemic hit, and so they didn't have any chance to recover, and so in pretty much every way they're only really just getting back on their feet. So yeah, I really hope they get back to their best, because they make some really good stuff. Anyway, I feel like I could ramble on for ages. There's so much stuff to talk about with this series, but basically just go and watch it. It's worth knowing that there is a slightly strange relationship between one of the characters and a teacher that does get a bit uncomfortable. I would say that's definitely the worst part of the series, but if you can ignore that, it's all gold. And luckily that never comes to fruition anyway. I feel like with pretty much all anime, there's always something a little bit strange that you just have to overlook to enjoy it. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. That's all, folks. Okay, bye.